What's up, y'all? Welcome back to a brand new video. This is episode 19 of a series I've been doing where I have been reviewing other people in my life, their top 10 favorite movies. I review them and I rate them out of 10 movies, so the final score out of 100. This is episode 19, like I said. The last episode was that of we'll just say my cousin, my wife's cousin, Abby Thomas, who my wife and I absolutely love and adore her and her family. And now we're going to be doing another member of her family, Mr. Blake Thomas, her husband, who I consider a good friend. Destiny and I we see them max once or twice a year, but we are very close with them. We very much value our relationship with them because they're very similar people to us. So Blake sent me his top 10 favorite movies here. We just watched Abby's episode, or I guess we shouldn't say we just watched it. I just recorded it. Like, I walked over there, stopped that recording, and now I'm starting this recording back to back. You may have just watched it. I don't know if you're doing a Shane Wilson marathon, which, if so, that's weird. Thanks, you're obsessed with me or something. Anyways, this is Blake's top 10 favorite movies. We're just going to get right into it. I like to start with movies that have been previously reviewed in this series, so we're going to do that, starting with The Dark Knight, which was on Grant, my brother-in-law. It was on his list, his top 10 favorite movies. And, it's a movie that I struggle to review just because, what else can I say about it that hasn't already been said? One of the best movies ever. I'm confident to say that it's one of the best movies ever. The performances are all wonderful, highlighted, of course, by Heath Ledger's Oscar-winning performance as the Joker. It has iconic lines, iconic moments. It honestly is just a perfect movie. Christopher Nolan is the best filmmaker of the 21st century. I will say that with confidence. And this film is just his magnum opus. 10 out of 10. Perfect movie. Love it. Next up, we have The Holiday, which is on Destiny's list. And it's a Christmas movie that 4 Christmases I reviewed in the last one. I have a good list of Christmas movies that I'll rewatch every year. The Holiday is certainly on that list. It's near the top of that list because my wife likes it too. So it is a very good rom-com, Christmas or not. It's just a very good rom-com. 2 good couples, so twice the fun, with good chemistry, and the chemistry doesn't feel forced at any point. There's a few romance movies, rom-coms that I've felt recently that just felt kind of forced. The Holiday does not at all. It's really good. The other supporting characters in the film, like Arthur, who's the old man, both of Graham's daughters, who are adorable, and all the ex-love interests and whoever else, they're all just really really good supporting characters that support the rest of the cast really well. Now, Jack Black, Kate Winslet, and Cameron Diaz are all great, but I just want to sit here and talk about Jude Law for a second because, first of all, Jude Law is a super handsome man, and he deserves to be talked about pretty much every day. But his role as Graham is one of my favorite portrayals in a film, and I'm not just saying there's a article that I did on my blog. It's the second article I did, my top 10 favorite male performances in movies, and it didn't make the top 10, but it was number 11. It was an honorable mention. So I'm not just saying that for this list. He's so good, so charming in that movie. I love. And this was even before I was a dad, but now, especially that I'm a dad, I love good dads in movies, and he fits that bill. Very, very good movie. 8.5 out of 10. Next up, we have The Notebook, which is on my mom's list. I think this is one of the best romance movies of the modern era, of the 21st century for sure. Yes, it's super toxic couple. Yes, that's my wife and I will get into debate about it. She's like, well, I don't like The Notebook because they're a super toxic couple and blah, 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 blah. I don't condone cheating. Me neither. I don't either. This is still a really good movie. I'm not going to use that couple as my role models for what I want in a relationship, but it's really entertaining to watch them, and their chemistry between Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling is so good. James Marsden is one of the nice guys who just gets screwed over in this movie, and I just feel so bad for him. James Garner is great as an old Duke, is what they call him. He's great in this movie. It's just a really, really, really fun movie to watch because it takes you through all of the emotions. It's really sad at the end, which, people love or hate. I don't mind being sad at the end of the movie, and this is one that makes me sad. Ryan Gosling, he's so charming. I absolutely love him. He's one of my favorite actors, definitely in the top 10. And this is really random. and but I want to mention it because Destiny and I, we did a little project just for fun. She and I both did it, where we did that. All the people in our lives, we cast them as if like we could find any actor to cast them to play them in like a TV show or movie, whatever, about our lives. And I actually cast Ryan Gosling as Blake because they just give me off the same vibe. Ryan Gosling is interviews in movies like this, not the toxicity, but like movies like The Fall Guy. It's like he gives me the same vibe as Blake, so I feel like that was worth mentioning. 8.5 out of 10. Next up, we have The Lord of the Rings. Now, the first one, The Fellowship of the Ring, was on my dad's list. Blake just said The Lord of the Rings. I watched all three of them. It doesn't matter which one we're talking about. 10 out of 10. It doesn't matter. They are perfect. They are perfect films. The perfect trilogy of movies. I'm really putting a lot of emphasis on that P in perfect. But they're the perfect trilogy of films. I prefer the extended editions over the theatrical cuts, but they both would be 10 out of 10s. I rewatch these movies every year. I think they're so good. I rewatch I do the extended edition, so that's like 12 hours worth of movies, and I enjoy every single second of it. They're just such good movies. They make me so happy. There's so many emotions that I could go through and so many things I could highlight, but I just got to say they are perfect movies. If you're curious why I think that, I would love to talk to you about it, so let me know. But I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Any of them, any of the three. My ranking of, if you're curious, of my favorites, again, they're all 10s, would go Fellowship first, then Return of the King, then Two Towers, but just if you're curious. Next up, we have Father of the Bride, which actually just appeared on Abby's list, which is so romantic of them. Okay. So you can find another version of this review on the last video. But one thing that I talked about is Steve Martin is able to just do his thing, be hilarious, be funny, and I love that. And the whole Banks family, the cast is just, it feels like a real family. Shout out to Kieran Culkin. He's a very talented child actor that now is probably going to win an Oscar this year, so shout out to him for that. That's cool. This is just a good movie. 7.5 out of 10. Now we got the back-to-back Steve Martin with Cheaper by the Dozen. So this is, again, he's able to do his thing, be at his best, just be Steve Martin, use his brand of humor, and now he has 10 extra kids opposed to the last movie. 12 total. Yep, that's a dozen, if you didn't know. This is a very nostalgic film from the early 2000s that I think everyone in like the millennial and early Gen Z, like, it's aged really well. I think it's a very nostalgic film for us because we all saw it growing up. The sequel is also really good. This is controversial take. I actually prefer the movie Yours, Mine, and Ours with Dennis Quaid and Rene Russo, but Cheaper by the Dozen is still really fun, and I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Next up, we have How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Another Christmas movie on here, and another one that I watch every year. This movie is so crazy, so fun, so outlandish, so wacky. It's incredibly quotable. My wife and I, not even during Christmas season, but especially after we watch this movie, just find ourselves just throwing all these quotes in our worst Grinch impressions that we try to do. Actually, Destiny's pretty good at it. She's good at impressions. It's a very memorable movie. Shout out to Ron Howard for making this one. It's just like a really well-made film, surprisingly. Jim Carrey is great. This is one of his all-time performances. The makeup is some of the best that I've seen in any movie. I think this is, again, me just talking about another movie. The animated Grinch more recently, I think it's just as good as this one. And I kind of go back and forth on which one I prefer, but they're both really good. This one is an 8.5 out of 10. Next up, we have Open Range, which is just like super random. I talked about this in the last video with Four Feathers. I love it when there's random movies on these lists that like you wouldn't typically find people talking about, just because like that's what I want to do. I want to see new movies. That's what I love to do, and this opens that up to me for a movie that genuinely like I probably never would have watched otherwise. So if you don't know what this is a 2003 Western from Kevin Costner that he also stars in alongside Robert Duvall, Annette Bening, Michael Gambon, Diego Luna. Now, Westerns overall, I know they're not a super popular genre anymore, and I think that's because they can be a little boring sometimes. This one is very solid. it's not boring, but there were times where it was a little slow. But when it got going, it got going. There were very good performances, especially from Robert Duvall. I think he was the standout in it. I think it was, yeah, he was definitely the standout in it. Now, it's a little more action-y than a standard Western, which is cool. The shootout scenes and other action fight scenes, whatever you want to call them, are really well done. And I give this film a 6 out of 10, which I know is lower, but that's still a positive score. So, yeah. Next up, we have Ocean's 11, which I somehow had never seen. Very good film. Probably the best heist film I've seen. Maybe Inception. I don't know. That's a heist movie technically, but I'm going to go with Ocean's 11. Great ensemble cast. So many iconic actors. Of course, you have Brad Clooney and George Pitt. George Clooney and Brad Pitt leading the way. Matt Damon is always the standout for me. He actually just got booted, I think. He was my favorite actor. I think he just got booted to the number 2 spot, which I'll talk more about in an upcoming video. But so crime, heist genres are not my favorite genre of movie. Neither is really even action movies. But I love action, crime, heist movies that have like a really good plan. And I like it. I really enjoy like the movie trope of them talking about the plan while showing us them actually doing the plan. I think that's so fun. I love when movies do that. And this one is one of the best that I can think of. I have yet to watch the sequels, but I do plan to, and I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. Last but not least, we have Hitch, the rom-com starring Will Smith. And this is one of those movies that I just forget how much I love it until I see it again. And then I'm like, yeah, that's a good movie. I think it's honestly one of Will Smith's best performances. He's so charming in it, which I love. Kevin James is hilarious in his role. Eva Mendes has great chemistry with Will Smith. And I really think this is one of the best of the rom-com genre, and I think that it should be discussed more than it is. I feel like you don't really hear people talk about it, but it's a very good movie, very well made, very funny, a lot of good moments, and I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, which brings our total to an 83.5 out of 10, which actually ties Blake with Abby. That was unintentional, but hey, that's how it goes, I guess. So that's puts him in a tie for 7th place, and that is out of 19. So that's the top half. They're both tied for 7th at 83.5 out of 100, which is like 8.35, 8.4 average, which is really solid. Thank you, Blake, for putting together this list. I appreciate you doing that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you watching. Stay tuned for more videos coming up. Some just that are just like random ideas that I had thought of, and others related to movies. Like I said, I'll have a video coming out soon talking about my new favorite actor that replaced Matt Damon. And we're getting towards Oscars, so my Oscar predictions video will be out soon. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.